Airport. Order. Have we got airports?
Yes, we do.
Sorry about all that. You all right up there? I never got to go to the pot plant, so I'll have to go later. Right. So we're going to try and put as many as we can on notice. It appears that we may have to have, which I'm not particularly happy about, a small spillover on Friday week. Right. So if I could just go to the destruction of the floodplain on the Georges River adjacent to the Bankstown Airport. I mean, Bankstown Airport, as you know, is a conundrum. It was hived off by the Commonwealth to a company that's got a pain in the guts. So could someone explain to me what the environmental approval process was on the build-up of the floodplain?
Certainly, Senator. I'll ask Mr Dodgy to give you a briefing, or Ms Horrocks.
So who authorised it? Let's go to... Who authorised the floodplain fill-up?
Senator, I wonder if you could be specific. There's the Bankstown Airport has been under development for a period of time.
The southwest corner, have you been there and had a look?
Yep.
The floodplain's been filled. I mean, I want to know what was the source of the fill, what was the approval process, and I'd like to see the approval. And so who actually authorised the fill of the floodplain? Because you see, the local residents now have woken up, as you would if you're out in a farm or lived at St George, where you can put levee banks up, which keeps the flood out of town but floods someone else. The fill-up of the floodplain at Bankstown Airport, if there's a serious event, is going to flood houses.
Senator, if I can start, and then Ms Horrocks may add some additional detail. I don't have the date at which the approval was granted, but the airport building controller, who's employed by the Commonwealth, by the department, approved the development on the government's behalf. The fill is from lot 803, which is on the site.
Yep.
The work is underway as we probably not today, now as we speak, but is underway and will continue underway. The building controller on site will monitor that work. As you would be aware, and we've had this conversation before, Bankstown Airport Limited has a flood mitigation strategy in place, but they have recently agreed with Bankstown City Council to undertake an additional piece of work, so that they will work together with Bankstown City Council to undertake a flood mitigation strategy for the surrounding area as well as the airport site.
So could you provide to this committee the environmental approval to allow that build-up to be done?
Certainly, Senator. I don't have it with me, but I can take that on notice.
The fill that was used, was it for environmental purposes remediated as it was filled?
Senator, the advice I have here is that they have identified that there are small quantities of fibrous asbestos in the fill.
It was a complete bullshit process.
And that they are monitoring.
It was allegedly done with an environmental approval, and the fill contains asbestos. This is a dodgy deal, let me tell you.
And we are currently looking into the issue associated with that fibrous material. I don't have a report with me in terms of the quantity per cubic metre.
No, you're going to have to pull the whole of the fill out to find it, let me tell you. I'm in the business, I know. So this is a breach of the Airports Act 1996. What action is being taken to remove the contaminated...
Senator, the advice I have is it's not a breach
of the Airports Act. We've got conflicting legal advice.
The works are being undertaken in accordance...
The works were not undertaken as per the environmental approval. I mean, you've got dodgy guys who knocked down some stuff and said, shit, we'll dump it over there. And it's full of bloody asbestos. There was no supervision. And I'll go into camera if you want me to tell you the dodgy guys behind it. The destruction of the floodplain is also a breach of the State Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, as well as the Federal Environmental Act. Why was the floodplain allowed to be destroyed?
Senator,
I can tell you why, because a couple of developers wanted to get a quid. But go on, you give me your answer.
Senator, I can't give you the approval. I don't have the approval with me now. In terms of the claim in regards to a breach of the New South Wales Environmental Act, that's not the case. The New South Wales Environmental Act does not apply because it is a Commonwealth site.
The state land is owned by the Commonwealth, but it's under the law of New South Wales. I'm sorry to have to tell you.
I'm sorry, Senator. It is Commonwealth land. It is not under the law
It's
of New South
registered
Wales.
in the state of New South Wales as a Commonwealth folio.
Which means that it comes under Commonwealth law.
And clause 30 of the lease over this land says the lease is governed by and construed in accordance with the laws of New South Wales. Refer yourself to clause 30.
Senator, I don't have the
I
lease
do.
with me.
I do.
Again, are we going anywhere with this? Is the officer going to get a chance to answer, or are you taking it on?
He is there.
No, he's not. You're not giving him a chance to.
Without seeing the clause, Senator, and the context in which the clause is written, I can't answer.
Well, I'll just go a bit further. Say, if you're not going to answer, I'll just give you a few other tips. The certifier of this process was a private certifier.
He is our building controller.
A private certifier cannot approve the destruction of a floodplain, only the relevant council.
Senator, in accordance with
In this case, it's Bankstown City Council.
Well, I think, so what we might do, Senator, if you can set out the issues, then what we'll do, either answer what we can tonight or take them on notice and give you detailed answers. If you can give to us your questions or assertions.
As you know, the destruction of this floodplain is going to have an effect on the residential people in the area in the event of a flood event. It's going to have a serious impact on the people who have had nothing to do with this dodgy deal, but who happen to live adjacent because the floodplain has been filled and the flood's got to go somewhere, and the council knows about it, and the guys that did it knew about it as they were doing it. And to add to that, the fill, which was the cheapest they could find, is full of contaminated material, which allegedly was supposed to be supervised under the environmental approval process. I rest my case. You got a problem, boys.